Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at EdenJustBe.com. Let's get this party started. Stuff. All right, now I'm gonna get ready. Oh my gosh, as I pull my earphones off. Eden, Just Be, Spiritual Boom in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. Hey, Steve Farrell, co-founder of Humanity's Team, partnered with Neil Donald Walsh and other pivotal spiritual minds. How you doing today?
I am great, Eden. How are you? Good to be here.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Okay, so welcome. And not only are we going to discuss 4 fears that keep us from oneness consciousness, I want to know more about you. I want to let our listeners and viewers know more about Humanity's Team and way more. So as Steve knows, I'm going to talk just a little bit, then read his full bio, and then we're going to get into it. Yet, I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so I did a video this Saturday. I am now linked with Twisted Sage out of South Dakota, and my podcast with Brian Besco will be live this week because he's up Twisted Sage as well. Okay, and as we get into fears with Steve, his tools, and he works with his family to also do that, transmute negative EMF transmissions from Wi-Fi, smart meters. I got all my notes so I don't forget anything. Smart meters, cell phones, and change the structure of water. So I implemented all these devices in my home on Friday, and I mean, it was that when I went to sleep that night, it was amazing. So I took my smart meter guard off my smart meter. So the smart meter guard blocks the EMF. This again takes the energy and transmutes it. Okay. And in my next video, this also can go into your neighborhood, into our world. So this is huge, big stuff. It's amazing. I can't say enough about it. And y'all know I don't talk about anything unless I truly believe in it. So twistedsage.com/EdenJustBe. Go do it. Love it. Steve, may I read your wonderful stuff? All right, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's have fun.
Steve Farrell attained the pinnacle of success as Silicon Valley entrepreneur, founding 2 high-tech firms based in Silicon Valley that were featured in the Inc. 500 and spanned the U.S. and Europe. During this period of his life, he was an officer in the Young Entrepreneurs Organization and the Young Presidents Organization. By all accounts, let me read this with meaning. He was living the material, I'm doing hand quotes for those who can't see, material American dream, where he responded to a newsletter request from Neil Donald Walsh, author of Conversations with God book series, seeking examples of businesses putting conscious living principles to work. Walsh invited Steve and his wife Stephanie to visit at his home in Oregon and meet his staff. That set Steve on a divine course to create a movement to help people across the globe connect more deeply with the divine truth of oneness and consciously participate in creating a flourishing and awakened world. Steve followed his heart and left the, I'm doing air quotes again, American dream behind, co-founding Humanity's Team with Walsh in 2003. Farrell is the co-founder with Walsh and worldwide executive director of Humanity's Team, a nonprofit organization based where Steve is right now in Boulder, Colorado. The organization is focused on helping people throughout the world, just like me, awaken to their deeper selves and the interconnectedness of everything. Today, this is amazing. Humanity's Team has approximately 70,000 friends in over 150 countries. Wow. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and actually, our email list is about 700,000 now, and our largest Facebook group is about 650,000. So, and yeah, it's a grassroots thing. I've got so many partners and colleagues all over the world, as you mentioned, just this
Yes,
incredible organization, 21 years old now.
that's
This
crazy.
501c3 nonprofit. Yeah. And it's devoted, just like you said, awakening to this, our true self, this interconnected world, the one consciousness, right? The universal consciousness that
Yes.
animates all of life. So lots going on. Very exciting. This is our time. As you know, this is our time.
Yes. All right. And we're going to get deeper into that because I think one of the things I want to talk about today is I have my shirt right now, 3D to 5D. You guys are in the midst of creating the 5D science, the 5D connections to that. So we're going to get into that. However, I want to ask you about this. All right. I did notes on this too, so I don't leave anything out. Okay. As a kickoff to this discussion, so my podcast and show and my work with my company, Just Be, I focus on seeing the light and the dark and helping people through that, the cognitive dissonance, the disconnection, and the shock that you can see in this world when you really start seeing some of the, I'll call it the evilness that's going on, is just wow. Okay. And once we see this incredible polarity of the divine and what seems to be the opposite of the divine, once we see that and accept that and realize that we're all of it, I mean, that is the evilness, the grotesque, I believe, and this is challenging stuff, but this is what I work with. Okay, what do you say to that?
Yeah, well, there's a lot there to
Yes,
unpack.
let's
But,
go.
yeah, no, I mean, the key thing here, as you mentioned, which is 3D to 5D, your T-shirt is so appropriate. Here's the thing, Eden, as we see it in Humanities Team, is unless we grew up as a Sufi, okay, and I don't know anybody that did myself. So,
Yes,
what tends to happen is we go through grade school, high school, college with this whole Newtonian, Darwinian, everything is separate, and we better get ours. You're getting yours, so I better get
yes,
mine. And so we're just going to hit the accelerator. It's all materiality, top line, bottom line, whether it's a job or starting an organization or a for-profit or whatever that is. It's all about just hitting the gas and getting mine, is kind of how we grow up. That's how we're
yeah,
taught. So this is a massive problem because, as we know, there's an explosion of articles now about this whole deeply interconnected world that I'm sure your viewers, listeners, aren't hearing this for the first time. The articles are everywhere, that even at a cellular level, that we're conscious, right? All trillions of cells are actually conscious, which makes sense. You cut yourself and it just heals on its own. You don't have to think about it, right? So this people's minds are being, I'll call it, tickled now in the mainstream with, wow, this is interesting, that everything is interconnected in this world and in the universe. And even Nobel Prize for Physics, right? And 2 years ago was for entanglement. Look up the definition of entanglement. My gosh, you've got two things, no physical connection whatsoever, can be on different sides of the multiverse universe, and they're deeply affecting each other, which isn't so crazy because, of course, we deeply affect each other. I'm affecting you right now, as you're
yes,
affecting me, as we're affecting viewers and listeners. So this people are waking up to this awareness of this new science, that, oh my gosh, things aren't as they seem. The things that we learned growing up maybe aren't true. Maybe ultimate reality, oh my goodness, is other than what I thought, right? And so this is massive because what this is it takes us to our belief systems about our life. And then, oh, the biggest one of them all, to self-identification of who am I? Oh, this is a big one, where we release old conceptions of I'm separate, I just came from my parents, I am my body. When my body drops, I'm gone. We drop those conceptions because we understand the science, and of course, mystics have been sharing this for back over millennia, right? So, and science is catching up, and we start to embody these teachings of, my God, I better live into reality, this oneness, this deeply interconnected world. Okay, and this is when the world starts shifting around us. Okay, and we have our own stories. I certainly have mine, where that moment in when I was out in California, as you mentioned, the whole Silicon Valley thing, where I was living the American dream, the private jet thing, the whole thing. But I was then studying the spirituality. The science wasn't quite there in the 90s, or didn't see it in its fullness as I do today.
So you
Uh,
had started studying that before Neil reached out to you? Like, was it like
no,
synergy?
Conversations with God, book one was as you mentioned, that was the big, massive thing that
Okay.
just caught me, that I gave myself to, that it was that God, speaking through with Neil in the conversation. And by the way, it wasn't just me. You might remember in the 90s, these books were on everybody's nightstand. Okay.
Mhm.
And Neil was on CNN, ABC, CBS, right? NBC, all of the networks were, where did this wisdom come from?
Mhm.
Neil would ask the questions, and then this wisdom was coming back that was so unbelievable, so true,
Yeah.
that was inviting us to, again, what mystics have shared down through time and science is affirming is true. Its biggest message in Conversations with God is we are all one, that it's a holographic universe, right? And again, these teachings have been around forever. Hippocrates and Plato actually said this in 410 BCE, 2,500 years ago. So this was when,
Can I interrupt you for a second?
oh,
Okay, I'm
yes.
I'm assuming that everybody who's tuning in knows about Conversations of God. If you don't, check it out. I was introduced to the book probably about 15 years ago, and I still give it to a lot of my clients. It is transformational. And Neil is basically, hey, I'm just an average guy, and God started talking to me. So I'm just going to start writing this down. Like, who am I to do this? But yet I'm going to go forward and do it and I know he was criticized in the beginning. Like, again, who are you to talk to God? What makes you special? All right, proceed, please. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's there were 9 books actually in the Conversations with God series. The first one, Conversations with God, book one, was in 1995. And then the last one, the ninth book called Awaken the Species,
That's neat.
which is what we're doing here now,
Mhm.
was 2017. So there was a pretty good span of time there that these 9 books came out. I do find that younger people aren't aware of Neil or the Conversations with God book series, but that's okay because the science is just coming in everywhere now. And kids in their 20s and 30s, they get it. They're like, in fact, they're leading this in many cases.
Wow. I had a question on the tip of my tongue. Oh, well, I just have to mention I have a client who's in her 20s that I just introduced that to. And she was really struggling with faith because I believe that that's one of the um, polarities, I guess you could say, is atheism and getting people away from God and believing that I just come down to this earth and I'm just alone and I'm a victim and I'm where there is this huge connection. And once you find God and that relationship again, it changes everything. What do you say to that?
Well, for sure, it does. It changes everything. It's, as you mentioned, it's transformational, and I do mean transformational. Even if the things weren't going on in the world that are so challenging,
Yeah.
that draw us to this whole awakening experience and what we call conscious living, we would do it anyway because the transformation in terms of what we experience is, it's just not even imaginable for people that haven't yet experienced it. It's extraordinary. It's just a whole new way of living. And here's the beautiful thing is because Humanities Team really started more in Europe. We did the launch actually in Wilsonville, Oregon in June 2003, 21 years ago.
Wow.
But then as we were organizing, our initial meetings were in Europe. In Europe, boy, God is a loaded term. Oh my goodness, because you had Spanish Inquisition and Roman Inquisition. It was kind of nasty over there back in the day. So I have compassion for these people. My aunt, who lives right here in Boulder, is an atheist. Um, and I say, hey, that's fine. Do you love nature? Oh, yes, of course, I love nature. I love the night sky. Oh, fantastic. Let's go there. Because
Oh,
this spirituality, I'm looking out the window now. Oh my gosh, you get into this connection with nature and the night sky, and you go for a hike or go camping, and you'll go right into what the spirituality is. You will experience it, this oneness. So we can get there, even absent and under a belief in God. It helps for this God experience to emerge, because, and we can use the term source if we like that better.
Mhm.
Uh, but see, the massive teaching here in We Are All One is um, God or source is actually right within. So we don't have to look up and at in the night sky, or we don't have to kneel, though we can. We can just go into that still space and know source is right here, right now. God is right here, right now. The entirety of the universe is. And then we can go into daily practice with intention and metaphysics and all the beautiful things we do. And that can keep us in this beautiful connected state, which is where you were going, I think, here, Eden, with this idea that God is such a beautiful, and spirituality is such a beautiful thing that's so uplifting, which brings us into heart opening and into service and all these beautiful things that are what conscious living is.
And it's like I compare it to my clients sometimes that it's like a drug that once you start to open up and once you're in it, you can't go back to how you used to be because you don't want to, yet you just want more. And sometimes it's like, why? Because it is also challenging when you move into it and look at your identities and look at your world and some of the things you have to that you're entangled with, loosening those entanglements. And it can be very challenging, yet it's challenging to stop because you don't want to. How
Yeah.
would you relate to that? It's
Oh, I
crazy.
mean, first of all, it's so true. Everything you said is so true. Now, here's the thing for people maybe that still have their 2 feet in one foot in this world we're talking about, and the other one in the
Yeah.
Newton Darwin world, because this is how it starts, and it did for me, 1 feet in both worlds. And then I said, okay, I'm going to go crazy. I'm deciding I'm either this or I'm that.
Yeah.
And science will help you kind of put both feet in this world you just described, Eden, because that it's a vibrational universe. We've heard that people would say it's true. We get into higher vibration, we're happy, joyful, get in the roller coaster of life where we're just hitting the accelerator. We can have lots of days down, on that down cycle, right? Doesn't feel good. Lower vibration, right? That's where we're sick too.
Mhm.
That's where evil, life spelled backwards happens. Or live spelled backwards happens. So, where we understand it's a vibrational universe. And one of the laws of physics, it's actually the law of thermodynamics. You can look it up. It says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Okay. In other words, energy lives forever, which is what a vibrational universe is. That's part of conscious living. So that's part of what we're seeing is for me, I went from, let's use, we did the 50-yard dash in sixth grade and you were timed and stuff. And then, you can run marathons and longer distances. So with thermodynamic law of physics, that energy can't be created or destroyed, it means that energy lives forever. So instead of playing the little game of I'm
Yeah.
just this body, I'm now playing the longer game of and I know I've had hundreds and hundreds of lives. And what do I want to do with this special life? With this planet that's quite challenged. What might I want to contribute now in this little life?
Can you take this moment to talk about your growing up and your family and paying for your braces? And I talk about Silicon Valley for a second. Like, just give us the where you were before you came here.
Yeah, you bet. So I was probably like like your listeners, because little home, about 1,250 square feet, a divorced mom who worked for full time as a legal secretary, and then six brothers and sisters and a dog. So pretty little home for all of us. But that's how most of us grew up, and even with divorced parents. So this was the '70s as I was going through high school and college. So then I moved out to Northern California, and boy, was I in the right place at the right time. Because then I got on with IBM for 6 years, learned a lot of skills. Then I went out and started a couple of companies there in Silicon Valley, right as the internet was being born. And
Ooh,
boy, was I in the right place at the right time.
yes.
Just two guys, used furniture, little executive suite that was affordable in South San Francisco, the cheapest area we could find. But boy, the internet was being born. Our companies were helping large organizations like the Gap and Esprit, even Apple Computer, with their data communications needs across their global campuses, where we designed these networks and install them and maintain them and make sure they were high performing and all of that kind of stuff. So the first company went to 75 million from zero in 10 years. And then the second one went to 75 million in 2 years. So I really was in the right place at the right time. Even became president of the Young Entrepreneurs Organization in Silicon Valley in San Francisco. So, and as I mentioned, I didn't have my own private jet, but some of my friends did, so I was kind of in that club, living in that world when this whole personal awakening thing happened, where I could see, who I really was. And even then, Eden, extreme weather's pretty bad these days, but I could see that coming in the 90s. And I was like, wow, am I playing a kid's game here? These companies, growing them and making shareholders rich and stuff. But at the end of my life, is that really how I want to contribute? Or is there a greater contribution I can make here? As well, let me share this. There's a nasty secret to the American dream. Okay. And it's actually a nasty secret to most of today's world, where we're starting a company, it's in the extreme, but even where we just have a paycheck and we're living more transactionally, not so conscious, it's that we're putting all of our focus on that growth, that paycheck, that job. Or if you start a company, boy, it's massive, with all of your employees, just getting that top line up, revenue growing, profit growing. So here's what happened to me in that.
Yeah.
My sister, I said 6 brothers and sisters, Maureen, she's the next oldest. She calls me there and says, Steve, I'm getting married. Can you come to my wedding? And I say, oh, Maureen, I actually work a lot of weekends. Boy,
I'm really busy.
I'm going to have to check my schedule here.
Yeah.
So I won't take you through the longer story. Thank God I did go to her wedding. Okay. And that was the last time I saw Maureen because she passed several months after that.
Well, I love that you had a dream about her.
I did have a dream. I dreamed that she died. Yeah. That night she called. Yeah. And so that was, where did that come from? Boy, that can launch your spirituality, can't it? Like, wow, So I dreamed she died. I called her right back. And I said, Maureen, I wouldn't miss your wedding for anything. Took incredible pictures, had an incredible time with her. And then that was the last I saw her. So that this is the nasty surprise. We take our eye off the ball where we're doing this Darwin Newton thing. We focus on just the job without any real attention to the loved ones around us or coworkers, or the people or the planet. The planet can just become a warehouse providing resources. So, and this in short, when you were talking at the beginning of the program about evil and love and life, this is what causes the evil. We take our eye off the ball and we're focusing so much, putting so much priority on just making something happen in the job or starting a company or something, that we take our eye off the ball and then we commoditize and hurt all of life around us. And it's what's behind the division in the world, the extreme weather now, overuse of land, water resources. We took our eye off the ball, and that's why all of these things have happened. But where we come back into this, the beauty of this interconnected world, this universal consciousness animating life, where we become conscious of the science and spirituality and live into it. What it means to live consciously is you naturally open your heart and come into service. That's what conscious living is I understand I'm part of the one. We move the fence posts out to embrace all of humanity and the planet. It's exactly what Einstein, if people know the Einstein quotes, where he said the greatest illusion in the world, this was 1921, 103 years ago, is the illusion of separation. And then his other quote that went a little deeper that said, this creates an optical delusion, he called it for us, causing us to put our affinity to those closest to us, like our family members. And creates a prison for us, is his quote. So he says, our job must be to release ourselves from this prison and embrace the whole of humanity and the planet, mankind. Okay, that, if you want to boil everything down, what we're talking about, it boils down to that very short quote of Albert Einstein's, that this is true. He could see it in so many over 100 years ago. And now it's become urgent that we do this, that we awaken to the science that says it's a deeply interconnected world, that we live into that science, embody it, because it's ultimate reality. And we do it anyway, which is where, your questions as you're throwing them at me is, oh my God, it's transformational. It feels so good. Why would we not do it?
Right. And to even shorten it more, we're just moving into love. Because getting into that, oh, my business and my company and this, like you're moving out of from away from source, away from the heart. So it's about getting back into the source, back into the heart. I want to throw this out there. I watched what I love about some of the videos that I've seen with your group. Okay, so my videos and my way of speaking is very esoteric, which I know y'all also work with mystics and mediums as well. So mine's, same thing. I'm a psychic medium, had a near death experience. Um, Yet the ones that I've seen with some of the ones, especially with Greg Braden, I want to tell you a story about him too, are so sci- good scientifically based, not vaccine science, but really good. So if there's someone who's on the fence of this, is this awakening true or not? Like I might be a little far fetched for them, yet a lot of your information is much more tangible. Okay, I want to share this story with Greg Braden. So about I was all bought into the inconvenient truth with Al Gore. This is probably 12 or 13 years ago. And a friend of mine said, hey, I'm going to a conference with Greg Braden. Why don't you just come with me? So I went and he presented this beautiful science that basically said the earth just goes through these patterns and these cycles and don't worry about anything. I mean, not to say that the earth doesn't have that we aren't hurting it or doing things to Mother Earth, yet relax. And I left there like there was something that I just resonated with it and let all of that go. And it was a lifesaver because I was so into, I've got to do this and I've got to do this in the world. We're all dying. It was just magical. So I don't know if this is a question, but just to say, so there was one video that you guys did that I sent to some of my clients, which I'm like, if they can't understand me, this is understandable. So more, I guess, praise is the word for the discussions that you guys are having hit so many different levels. Okay, woo, that was long. Well,
Yeah,
okay,
no, they do. And this, we could just go in this direction.
okay,
And I know we've got so much ground to cover, and of course, one of Greg's best friends is Dr. Bruce Lipton. And you may know, in fact, they're presenting here in Denver just in the next week. So coming to town, both of them together. So Bruce shares that overuse of land water resources is massive, and we need 1.6 Earths right now to support the land, water, and resource needs of the planet. So this is, we can even just go in that direction of just understanding that as we live consciously, this whole heart opening thing, this being in service thing, where we're aspects of each other. The earth is an aspect of us.
yes,
You're an aspect of me. Really, this is conscious living where we really go in that place, and it's not as metaphor, where we really deeply understand it. And by the way, when we talk about transformation and personal changes we've gone through, oh my God, for me, I mean, that young man that was me in the early
yes,
90s, could have some sharp elbows. I mean, I really understand this, that you're an aspect of me, and anybody that I'm talking to is, and which means there's a certain sort of gentleness, is truth still, but a caring, that I don't need to hurt anybody or make anybody wrong. In fact, I want to support them. They're on their own earnest journey. That's what life is, and how can I support people on their earnest journey? And certainly the earth, how can I support the earth on its earnest journey? So yeah, there are many things here in the science surfacing. I think, a big one is just on the planet, there are ways that we can live that'll support life and the planet better. And certainly we're involved in those activities.
that's so nice. And let's go back to also you were at the I guess the pinnacle at Silicon Valley, and you just left, correct? You just
I
in a sense
was,
walked
yeah.
away.
Yeah, no, I was also, after YEO, Young Entrepreneurs Organization, I went into YPO, Young Presidents Organization. And, there's 60 people in those chapters. So like Gavin Newsom, if you know him, governor of California,
I sure do.
uh, and a whole bunch of other people, the guy that runs the largest REIT, real estate investment trust in the whole world, which is Prologis, was in my chapter. The woman that was at Steve Jobs' side, that were the marketing genius. Andy Cunningham was in my chapter. A lot of people, women and men like that. Unbelievable. Just really cool people, actually. But then when I went through my personal awakening thing and went in this spiritual direction, they have what they call forum, where you come together and you meet monthly and talk about business. And I was honest with my group and forum, and I said, guys, I love you guys. You're all so incredibly smart, and everybody's doing amazing stuff, but I don't have anything to contribute to business anymore. I'm really, there's a spiritual journey I'm on now that I really need to go give myself fully to, and so I quit and left. And
Oh, so
then
how
I
they
moved.
react? How were they just like, "Dang, Steve, what's yeah, did they
Yeah.
shift a little bit because of you? What? Yeah, tell us more."
Well, yeah, I think this was in the 90s, so this was really early.
Yes.
How they reacted was, Steve, you don't need to leave. You can just, you can create sessions for the chapter where you bring in these spiritual leaders, and they can inform, and you can then bring in people that are like atheists to kind of have the other side, and they can inform. And, you can be an educator like that. Why do you have to leave? Because you love each other. You meet for periods of years and you love each other. And I said, hey, I appreciate that. I'm being called to something more than just like an advocate for education where I bring both sides together. There's more than that I'm being called to now. I really need to leave. So it was painful and challenging. Uh, I knew I needed to do it because, and this is part of conscious living. Boy, I know you have your story, Eden. Where everybody, my family was saying, Steve, my God, you won the lottery here. You're burning your ticket. Uh, what are we doing here? And they love me. So part of the conscious journey is we have to have the fortitude, the devotion
Oh
to
gosh,
that
yes.
still small voice that's calling us to what we're supposed to go do, which I'm sure, Eden,
Yes.
is why you're doing all the things you're doing today.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That devotion, that heart, that where you explained it, you can't see yourself doing anything else, regardless of other people going, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" It doesn't matter. It's because I'm this is me. I'm driven towards it. Okay, go into the four fears that keep us from oneness consciousness. What are those for you?
Okay, so there are a whole bunch of them. One, just an early one, um, is just really thinking that maybe we've got this science wrong. That we listen to Eden and Steve talk, and we're clear that this is true and ultimate reality and that. But people can say, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure I give up my belief systems. I'm not so sure this is ultimate reality. I'm not sure I want to embrace a
Right.
new self-definition. So this is a big one, is just that this is so big that I have a fear of even really looking into this, much less really giving up the truth of who I am. Uh, so this is huge. And this is why after I talk, I'll always have people come up and say, I've taken a couple of steps into that world. I love it. I'm just not sure I could give myself to it fully. There's a massive fear here around, is this all true? Is it science backed? Is ultimate reality really this? So this is a huge one. Do you want me to keep going?
Yes, please. And let me ask you a question on that. When they have that fear, what do you recommend?
What I recommend is, one, if you want to make it real easy. So we have a nonprofit that I've been talking about, a 21-year-old nonprofit
Yes.
humanities team, 501c3 nonprofit. We have lots of free programs with Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Nassim Harriman, Lynn McTaggart, and other scientists. It's humanitiesteam.org, spelled with a Y. Okay. And if you go to our site, up in the top navigation under programs, they're free programs. Pull down the free programs. Go through some of those science-based programs, where they will take you through. Nassim Harriman is a physicist, in the program that leads into our what is called forbidden science. He'll take you into this unbelievable. It's what Einstein was working on, called unified field. How
Yes.
there truly is a unified field with everything in it, physical, non-physical, from atoms and protons to cosmological objects, galaxies, and that you are part of that. And wow, I mean, he sounds like a preacher with his science of how self-empowered you're going to feel, just your posture, where you understand the universe can't be without you, right? So, and there's science all over the place. So you don't have to go to the humanities team website. Spirituality will take you there. That's what brought me there. And philosophy will take you there. Ken Wilber, with his all quadrants, all levels. So conscious business. There are many. We by the way, humanities team, we're now the largest global streaming platform in the whole world for consciousness raising master classes and transformational education. So we're translating our new programs in 75 languages. It's a streaming platform. And more than that, it's really a community, a conscious community supporting people that are on this journey that we're talking about. So that's how you can work through that fear, is just go satisfy yourself that it's true. And if you look at the evolution of time, it's not actually, you'll see that these major adjustments have occurred through time, like in Galileo's time, right? We'll go early 1600s. Galileo lived in Italy, physicist, astronomer, scientist, very esteemed. Canon, which is the church teachings, and science, the whole world was saying, well, the earth, of course, is the center of the universe. Mm-hmm. That's ultimate reality. The earth is the center of the universe. And Galileo said, oh, my research shows it's not the center of the universe. We're actually in a solar system. We're a planet revolving around a sun, and it's not, we're not in the center of the universe at all, right? So as we look through time, these kinds of this science and these kinds of evolutions have occurred with some frequency that challenge us and cause us to open our eyes to whole new realities. So that's what's happening today, that we think we're a separate self, and science is saying, well, it just isn't true. You're part of a deeply interconnected, universal, cosmic oneness, a unified field, if you will.
Okay. So if there is that fear, just, hey, dive in, research a little bit. Yeah. Move forward. All right. What's number 2, would you say?
Okay. So number 2 is people think that this path is going to make them give up everything. This is a huge one. Yeah. That, oh my gosh, and even they might even hear me talking now and saying, no, you left that, a 7-figure world every year and stuff. And, you gave up. Look, here's the beautiful thing is, okay, this is something from the Bible for those that read the Bible. And I don't read the Bible all the time, but it says that wherever you're given the vision, okay, that's still small voice, the vision, you're always given the provision. Okay, so which means the resources, the people, the wisdom, the things that will take you there. So, and this is something that can give you some comfort that when you listen to your still small voice, as I did, and left all of that, you're not going to give up all this stuff and your family's going to hurt. I'm happily married. I have 2 kids that my wife and I adopted at birth. We have a beautiful life. We were led to one of the nicest homes in North Boulder. And it was sold to us at a massive discount so we could afford it. How did that happen? We don't have the time to hear that whole long story, but I call it the boomerang effect. So where you give yourself to that still small voice, this big agenda, which is this oneness, which is supporting the planet and people, and that's your thing. And you're not loading it with little agendas of, oh, but I need this and I need that. No, you just support the big agenda that your still small voice is calling you to. And the boomerang effect happens. So one small example, we moved here in 2007. This home was way more than we could afford, and we loved it. And they sold it to us at a massive discount. And I get to live in this house as I'm doing this work, and my family prospers. I was just Friday, okay, 2 days ago. Well, Friday, so this is Monday, 3 days ago. I was given with Humanities Team the Oneness of Humanity Award by Spiritual Life TV. They'd only given the award once before. Last year, they flew out to Darshan to give it to the Dalai Lama. Well, they gave it to me and Humanities Team on Friday night.
Oh,
with a $25,000 check. Yeah.
Better.
Big ceremony, here in Boulder to give us this award. I get a big award and check, and which, by the way, I don't need anything for me. What I want is what Eden turns you on, it turns me on, which is our lives, which is this living into this conscious reality. That's the whole thing. So that's why I love the award, is it gave us a chance to really hold this conscious reality up for the world to see, so others can be invited to it and can find this beautiful lifestyle that you and I are talking about here during today's program, Eden.
And I will tack onto that too, like this humbleness. I've really been working on that over the past year is yeah, more how do I even describe it? I don't know, just it's not knocking myself down. It's not that, but also this thing of that I'm not always right, and we're also getting rid of these polarities of right and wrong, of what you've talked about too, being much more like I thought I was very accepting of people, but it's even becoming more grounded within that and more solid within that. Again, that I'm important, but everybody's important, but we're all not important, but we are important. All right. Can you go to number 3? That was beautiful.
Yes. So number 3, that there's this sense that it's like homogenized milk, this interconnected world of oneness. That, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose myself here. That I'm going to go into this homogenized oneness world where everything is kind of all the same, homogenized milk. And I don't want to lose myself here. I love who I am and the generational uh, uh, thing of which I'm a part, my own genius, my own gifts, and these things. I'm really don't want to lose myself here. I don't want. This sounds beautiful, but I don't want to give myself up here. Okay, here's the beautiful thing. This is more like the United States of America. We have our 50 stars, right? Um, it's just like that. So we're not going to homogenize milk at all. But it's just South Carolina. Oh, I mean as it as it beats its drum and talks about its beauty and its landscape and all of its history and so on. And then California with its, right, and Florida and Texas and Maine, et cetera. There's this beauty, there's this genius, there is this thing that is unique to what it is, to what it's contributing, to why people would never leave there, right? And it's the same thing here, that what's happening is in fact, Barbara Marx Hubbard, for people that know her, she was big, right? Ran for vice president, actually, at the Democratic Convention years ago. Was very big in this world of transformation. And she used to talk about just how we share genius, as we come into this oneness thing or deeply interconnected world. And it's exactly how it works. It's like right here, right now. I mean, Eden, look at all these gifts that you have, all these things that you do, healing, these very different modalities and things. And then what I do, it's beautiful. It's like a tapestry. It's like a band where you've got different music playing, right? That then makes this whole musical impression that the audience hears, that where your music, your instrument, my instrument come in. So that's how oneness works. We're actually sharing genius or sharing our gifts. It's beautiful. And there's nothing that we need to worry about insofar as giving up our individual self, our gifts, becoming homogenized milk. It doesn't work that way at all.
I would say it makes your individuality and your gifts makes them stronger. Okay, go into number 4. That was great.
Okay, and by the way, there's so many of these, so I'm just going to I'm pulling 4 here. So another one is as you get into conscious living, as you're taking stepping stones out, I'll call it, in the fullness of what conscious living is. So I work with, there are many different modalities to this. So near-death experience comes in here. You mentioned you've got your own story here, Eden. Mediumship comes in, and you've shared you have that gift too. Mm-hmm. So as we explore these, which takes us into the non-physical realm, then we really start to understand kind of the whole life process. I'll call it the revolving door of life, the non-physical realm into the physical realm and then back. And this is how life goes on forever and ever and ever. And that whole non-physical realm in terms of how that works and where we drop the body, but we continue to live until we embody again later. There can be all kinds of fears around accepting that, oh my gosh, Steve, now, are you telling me that I don't need to fear death anymore or death of loved ones? Or are you telling me that loved ones may be able to speak to me now, angels, guides, even Jesus, God, Buddha, Moses, Abraham? Steve, are you telling me that? Um, and so there can be some huge fears around, is that true, that whole non-physical realm, and does that work? Or is Steve just some new ager that's just feeding me stuff, mush that I don't want to understand? Huge fears here.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, and I come from a very grounded world, working with very grounded leaders, and this is extremely grounded. I can share, as we do in my home, death. You drop a body, okay? Yes, there is no death, though. These loved ones are right here, right now, and they're actually very simple processes which our mediums teach. James Von Prague, Suzanne Giesman, Karen Noe, three of the really talented mediums that are part of our faculty for our streaming platform. They teach you how to connect with the non-physical realm and where you're going to go, and even the process from right when you first pass, what happens, and then shortly after that, there's a process with life review and things. Because I work around these people and have for decades, I understand. I've seen it. So many of these things happen that I am totally clear, and I can say 100%. It's not even 99%. I'm 100% clear on how this whole afterlife thing works. And actually, it's beautiful. The thing is as you understand it, you realize if you're going to be concerned, it's for people living embodied that are so challenged. Even maybe some listeners here today who are saying, man, I love what you guys are talking about, but I'm in a world of, I feel fatigued. I've got anxiety, sometimes even depression, right? A lot of people. And that's why we're having this conversation, is to help get that vibration up, get some clarity around who we really are, start living into that, this transformational thing, that they get to experience that. That's why we're having this conversation, is to support people that are on this conscious journey.
And I so appreciate that, because I've been doing this work over 20 years. I've been told by many people that what I'm doing is a sin, talking to people that have died or whatever, working for the devil. And I've gotten much stronger in that too, just going, I am not doing that. I am of the light. I am of the divine, and all of this is divine. Yet it's been a process opening people up. And I love you also saying it just is. I've been around this for so long. I've seen it. It is unequivocal to me. I love
It
having
is.
that support.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it is. And
it is.
I would not mislead. Everybody that's listening is an aspect of me. I am talking to a part of myself. And actually by this big agenda that I've been referring to in this boomerang effect, it's around supporting every single person listening, the planet, because we can embrace this really beautiful reality, and then we can create a tipping point, and so our kids enjoy the beautiful planet out in the future.
Mm. Would this be a wonderful segue to the Just Be practice, ending the show with something that helps transform our listeners? Are you ready for that?
I am ready.
Just be
Let's go. I'm
practice.
ready.
Okay. So let me start with, I would say, a reality that probably almost everybody, maybe everybody listening, would experience this, which is that we walk up on, our partner, even our kids, a coworker, and we experience a separateness of that is them and this is me. So what I want to invite is to try something as soon as you experience that today, hopefully, while you're thinking about it. Okay. And try experiencing what we've been talking about, that no, this is Eden here. This is an aspect of me. I am talking to it. I'm not using metaphor. This is an aspect of me that I'm talking to. Do that instead as you're experiencing this separation thing, and just see what that feels like, what that brings up for you as you're seeing, feeling this aspect of you. See what that brings up also with the earth when you're next time out in nature and you're walking, or even at night looking up at the night sky, where you're experiencing this is beautiful, but it's separate from me. Do this. Feel into it, and allow yourself, bring yourself to what this is really an aspect of me. nature, this planet, it's an aspect of me. We actually are one. Uh, See what that brings up for you. See how that makes you feel. One, I'm going to share, just having devoted my life for over 25 years to this work, that it's true. The science even shares it's true. And two, it feels so delicious, so exquisite, that I think that if you feel that too, that'll be very revealing, and that will perhaps then cause you to want to keep doing this again and again and again. One, if you do it again and again and again, it's a beautiful thing that this whole transformation that Eden and I have been speaking about, you will experience. And two, when we get to tipping point, which is 800 million people now, 8 billion people on the planet, which we're devoted to in humanities team in 16 years by 2040, 800 million people, we will tip then into this whole new way of living on the earth, where we're walking around, and in relationships, boy, we don't have time to get into this, but in your intimate relationships, where you really understand, oh my gosh, this is an aspect of me. And where we're living as neighbors and as coworkers in conscious businesses, where we create this whole tipping point. Okay, now let me, with just my little bit of time left, go into something experiential here with this. Okay. And you can close your eyes or open your eyes, whatever is comfortable for you. Okay. And let's now put this whole earth, the 8 billion people, and this beautiful earth here in front of you, and bring in this everything as an aspect of each other, that there is indeed a universal consciousness animating all of life. See and feel this oneness, where we're feeling each other as aspects of each other, where we're feeling the earth as an aspect of us, where we're embodying that and expressing that. Even see it right now in a work environment, what that looks like, a conscious culture where we see earnestness in each other, these gifts that each person's bringing, this sacred journey that each person is on, these ways that organizations can bring products and services to the earth that are nurturing, that support life, and that this is our thing inside the organization that we're working in, where we're really delighting in that. Okay, see and feel. I'm bringing in a lot of things. See and feel this beauty, this connection, this open heart, this oneness, this sparking of this divinity. Even I'm going to bring in something deeply spiritual, divinity that is all of life, where life is interacting this way. And now see this unfolding 2040, where, wow, 10% of the earth is experiencing this. And as we can see it unfolding into its fullness, and with the entirety of the earth experiencing this, as so many planets do in the universe, because of course we're one of many planets with life in the universe, where we're experiencing this oneness, this divinity in its fullness. And kids now growing up in this planet that's now awake, that's living consciously, that has this beautiful future, where this planet is now unfolding into proper use of land, water, resources, and where kids can enjoy the earth in the way that us boomers have. Okay, feel the joy in that. Let's just sit with that for about 10 seconds. The joy in kids, babies today, out there 20, 30 years from now, living on a beautiful planet, awakened as one, living consciously in the fullness of our divinity. And now you can slowly bring yourself back here, and invite you to just carry this with you throughout the day, if you would.
I'll add my experience in that for a second. So for me, the whole earth went inside of my body and then it exploded. So it was me, everything. Yeah, really awesome. And then in terms of connecting with nature, I'm going to throw these out there, Steve, and you please add to this. In terms of connecting with it, maybe touch leaves, smell flowers. Like, how can you put yourself more into that experience versus, oh, I'm just walking and it's all around me? How would you also suggest, like you and I being one, do you see me as Steve? Do you see my face as yours? How do you do that?
So let me take these first nature, over the weekend. And I have just like you, Eden, I have a really, full life. There's a lot going on. But oh my gosh, I'm out there barefoot,
Yes.
with where I'm transplanting things, including there was this little teeny ice plant that rabbits had eaten, all little teeny, like two little blades. And I dug it out. I'm not going to throw it away. I was going to put something there, and I took it out to my backyard, and then I planted it there. And I was planting some other things because it's nature. It's just, it was a little blade. It was all that was left, but I was, that could probably keep growing. We don't need to throw this away. Nature is so beautiful, which is an aspect of me, and the planet is so beautiful that we live on. And then you, Eden, yeah, I mean, this is where this oneness thing is so beautiful, because it's like I look at you and what you've given yourself to, and with all these gifts, my gosh, mediumship, NDE, podcast, and books, all of these different things that you do. It's wonderful. I mean, it's like, wow, look at what this aspect of me has done.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's a good
Wow,
way.
she is really doing it. She's rocking it. And then I live near a homeless shelter. So there are people homeless walking up and down the street. And I look at them and I say, well, there goes me, I'm pretty challenged right now.
Okay.
There I go. And I just say a little prayer that, hey, let's put some angels and guides around that part of me. I'm probably not feeling too good here today.
Okay. Great way of explaining that. Thank you. Hey, Steve, you're rocking it too. I'm rocking it. You're rocking it. We're all rocking it. Thank you so much for everything. The exercise was awesome, and what you brought to everyone is priceless. Okay. You want to say bye now? And if you can hang with me for a second, we'll say bye to all of you guys. Steve, thank you again so much for being here. And again, congratulations for Friday and that award, which again is an award for everybody. All right. See ya.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Ooh, that was loud. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Truth Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.